After my fiancée requested a break to reconnect with her ex and figure out her feelings, I decided to end our engagement, sell the house we had built together, and completely vanish from her life without a trace. Hey everyone, after what seems like forever, I've decided it's time to share what's been happening with me. Until recently, I genuinely believed I was marrying the love of my life, Tessa, 26. We'd been together for 4 years and, by all accounts, our relationship was rock solid. Now, though, I'm left wondering why I didn't catch these signs earlier. Tessa and I met at a birthday party through a mutual friend. She was witty, confident, and refreshingly straightforward, qualities I hadn't seen in anyone else. We clicked right away and eventually moved in together. After a year, everything felt natural, like we were aligned on our careers, marriage, and even starting a family. She worked as a freelance graphic designer while I managed projects at a tech company, so our schedules meshed perfectly. Life wasn't glamorous, but it was fulfilling. We had been talking about marriage for a while, and last year I proposed during a quiet dinner at home, nothing extravagant. Tessa was overjoyed, she cried, hugged me, and said yes. That night, we started dreaming of our future, a fall wedding, a small guest list, and a charming venue by the lake. Everything seemed to be falling into place, or so I thought. The first red flags were subtle, almost hidden flaws I chose to ignore. For example, Tessa's initial enthusiasm for planning our wedding gradually faded. At first, she would send me Pinterest boards, search for dresses, and debate whether tulips or roses would work best for the centerpieces. Then, it just stopped. When I asked, "Have you picked your bridesmaids yet?" she'd simply shrug and say, "Not yet, I'm still thinking about it." The same went for the cake, outfits, even the music. Every decision we once eagerly planned became something she wanted to delay. I told myself it was just stress. After all, wedding planning is overwhelming, and Tessa had a lot on her plate at work. I never realized her lack of excitement was about us. The real wake-up call came one night while we were out with friends. Someone brought up that silly TikTok game, you know, the one where you answer personal questions without breaking a smile. Everything was fun until someone asked, if you could relive one past relationship, which would it be? Without hesitation, Tessa said, probably Dylan. Yep, Dylan, the college boyfriend who cheated on her. The room fell silent. She nervously giggled and tried to backtrack, saying, I mean, not that I want to go back, it was just an important part of my past. I wanted to challenge her right then, but since we were among friends, I let it go. Later, when we were alone, I asked, what's so significant about Dylan? Why choose to revisit that relationship? She just shrugged it off as if it were nothing, a silly game, and quickly changed the subject. I didn't push further because I didn't want to start an unnecessary fight, but that answer kept nagging at me. Soon after, her behavior became even harder to ignore. She started checking her phone more often, scrolling through texts with a sly smile, and offering vague excuses for canceling plans. Sorry, I have a ton of work tonight, or I promised my mom I'd visit this weekend, became her routine responses. While those reasons didn't sound too fishy individually, they piled up, making me feel less important. Then came Friday night, a night that changed everything. I got home early from work, excited to relax with Tessa, thinking we'd order in and binge a show. But as soon as I walked in, something felt off. Tessa was on the couch with her laptop, not working at all, just staring blankly at the screen. Hey, I'm home, I murmured, trying to ease the tension. You're home early, she replied, as if that were a bad thing. I shrugged and headed to the kitchen to start dinner, but the oppressive silence was hard to ignore. Usually, she'd ask about my day or share about hers. Tonight, nothing. Finally, I couldn't stand it any longer and asked, is everything okay? She closed her laptop and looked at me, saying, actually, there's something we need to talk about. My stomach dropped. I knew that feeling when something terrible is about to go down but you can't stop it. There I was, standing with a spatula in hand, as she continued, I've been thinking about us, and about Dylan. I almost laughed. Dylan? Seriously? What about him? She mumbled, avoiding eye contact. I think I need some time to figure things out. I want to take a break and see if there's still something there with him. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You're saying you want to date your ex while we're engaged? Are you out of your mind, Tessa? I asked, stunned. She quickly added, it's not like that, I just need to know if I'm making the right choice. If it doesn't work out, I promise I'll come back. That's when I realized just how bold she was, expecting me to wait while she sorted through her feelings. Something in me shifted immediately. I didn't yell or lose my cool, I just sat there, stunned, wondering how I missed all these signals. Finally, in a calm voice, I asked, "So what does this break mean to you?" She straightened up, as if ready for this discussion, and said, "I believe we need space to figure things out. I need time to see if my feelings for Dylan are real, and you should reflect on us as well." I couldn't believe the audacity. Leaning forward, I replied, "Wait, you want to date your ex while I'm supposed to be thinking about our future? What kind of backwards logic is that?" Tessa looked at me coolly, as if I were the one being unreasonable. "It's not about you doing something wrong, Liam, this is about me finding out what I need." Every word felt rehearsed. The way she spoke and avoided eye contact made it seem like she had already decided this was coming, expecting me to just accept it. "This sounds insane," I muttered. "You can't just put your fiancé on hold while you test the waters with someone who treats you like trash." Her face tightened, and for the first time, I saw how stubborn she could be. "I'm not asking for permission, Liam, I'm telling you what I need." That hit differently. I wasn't just sad anymore, I was furious. I got up, pacing as I tried to calm down. "So, Tessa, you're just going to pack a bag and head over to Dylan's? Is that your plan?" I asked. "No," she insisted, "it's not like that. I don't know what the outcome is yet, but I need clarity before we move forward. I owe it to myself to be sure I'm making the right decision." "You owe it to yourself, sure," I replied, half laughing. "But what about what you owe me? We're engaged, Tessa. We're supposed to be building a life together, and now you're saying you need to test drive your ex to see if I'm good enough?" "I never said you weren't good enough," she snapped, her voice rising. "But if we're going to spend the rest of our lives together, I need to be 100% certain. And right now, I'm not there." That was it. It wasn't just about exploring something with Dylan, she was also uncertain about me, even after 4 years and all our plans. It hit me hard, she hadn't realized how painful and absurd her request was. She expected me to sit back while she figured out some confusion. I stopped pacing, looked her in the eyes, and said in a flat tone, "You know what? Take your break." Her eyes widened in surprise at how quickly I agreed. "Liam, I'm not trying to hurt you, I just need space to sort my thoughts." I nodded, keeping my tone even. "All right, if that's what you need." She paused, as if waiting for me to argue, but I didn't. She stood, pulled out her laptop, and murmured, "I'm staying at my mom's for a bit. This isn't forever. We'll talk when I've had some time." "Okay," I replied simply. She glanced at me uncertainly before disappearing into the bedroom. I could hear her rummaging through her things, tossing items into a bag. I sat on the couch, my mind already spinning with plans. If she really wants a break, fine, let her have it. A few minutes later, I heard the front door close. She was gone. Maybe she thought she could leave me here to worry, but she had no idea I wasn't going to just sit back. She could chase her fantasy, but I had other plans. I promised myself I'd update everyone once I got things moving. This wouldn't end the way she expected. Thank you for your feedback on my last post. A lot has happened this week, and I want to fill you in. First off, thanks so much for the support, everyone. Many of you said I don't just sit around waiting, and you were right. I've been busy putting plans into action. I started by calling my pal Noah, my best friend since college, who's never one to sugarcoat things. After I told him the whole story, he came over with pizza, and we spent the night strategizing. "Dude, she's gonna try crawling back when things go south with Dylan," Noah warned, and he wasn't wrong. The more we talked, the more obvious it became that I needed to take control. This wasn't about revenge, it was about reclaiming my life. I began with the house. Tessa seems to forget that it's all in my name. She acts like it's our shared home, always bragging about her choices in curtains and paint colors, even though I'm the one paying the mortgage. I called a realtor first thing Monday morning. He came by, checked out the place, and we listed it right away. The market in our neighborhood is hot, and we already have several interested buyers. Tessa probably thinks I'm just sitting here, waiting for her to work through her feelings. Next, I started slowly removing her from my life. Remember those live, laugh, love signs she insisted on putting up? Gone. What about the throw pillows, her donated clothes, and the rest of her personal items? I carefully packed it all up. But instead of just leaving it at her mom's or having her pick it up, I hired a moving company to deliver everything to her mom's house, with a short note attached, "Here's your stuff. Good luck with Dylan." Some might call that petty, but I see it as being efficient. She wanted space to think, and now she has it. The most interesting moment came when mutual friends began asking questions. Instead of playing the victim or bad-mouthing her, I simply told them the truth. Tessa decided she needed to explore her past before committing to marriage, and I realized I deserved better than being a backup plan. You should see how people reacted. No drama, no accusations, just the facts. It's amazing how quickly the story changes when you stop trying to control it. I've also been making moves at work. I applied for a position at our West Coast office, a job I'd been considering for a long time. If the house sells, which looks likely, and I get this job, I'll be starting fresh on the other side of the country. Tessa tried reaching out several times this week, first with casual "hope you're okay" texts, then increasingly worried messages when she found out I was making changes rather than waiting around. Yesterday, she panicked when her mom told her the boxes had been delivered. "What are you doing? Why are you acting like this is over?" I kept my answer simple, "Because it is over, Tessa. You made your choice, and now I'm making mine." She broke down, insisting she just needed time to figure things out and claiming I was moving too fast. But this isn't what I planned. She meant it when she asked for a break. "What did you expect?" I asked, "That I'd sit here like a loyal dog while you took your ex for a spin?" "But what if I realize you're the one I really want?" she sobbed. "Then you'll learn not to take anyone for granted," I replied before hanging up. Strangely, I wasn't angry anymore. I felt free. Every box I packed and every move I made felt like I was reclaiming pieces of myself I hadn't even noticed were missing. Noah stopped by yesterday to help me pack up the house, and he noticed the change too. "You seem different, more focused," he observed. "Yeah, I am different," I admitted. When Tessa first admitted she wanted to explore something with Dylan, it felt like my whole world was crashing down. Now I see it wasn't my world collapsing at all, it was the fake life I'd been living finally falling apart. I've got more plans in motion, but I'll save those details for later. For now, know that sometimes the best way to answer someone who treats you like an option is simply to remove yourself from that list. This isn't over yet, and I have a feeling Tessa's break to sort things out isn't going to work out as planned. I appreciate all the feedback on my last update. Things have escalated, and here's the latest. Remember when I mentioned I applied for a West Coast job? The timing couldn't be better. The house is under contract and closing next month, but that's just the beginning. What's really interesting is how Tessa's experiment with Dylan is unfolding. Mutual friends have told me that the spark between them isn't the fairy tale she imagined. For years later, he's still the unreliable guy who cheated on her back in college. Here's where it gets even more intriguing. Tessa tried to shape the story on social media by posting vague, inspirational quotes about finding yourself and following your heart. So I decided to play along, but with my own twist. I made a single, straightforward post, excited to announce I've accepted a position in San Francisco. When one door closes, another opens. Looking forward to this new chapter. Soon, messages and comments started flooding in. People congratulated me, asked about the move, and of course, wondered about Tessa. I kept it simple, we're not together anymore. She wanted to explore other options, so I'm doing the same. That post sparked a chain reaction in our social circle. Remember those friends who doubted the situation? They watched as I handled everything gracefully, even while Tessa's cryptic posts completely shifted the mood. Then came the professional fallout. Tessa's freelance design work relies heavily on referrals, and soon Sarah, a 29-year-old mutual contact in the tech world who used to send clients Tessa's way, reached out. "I need to know what happened," she said over coffee. "Tessa is saying you're taking a break to grow on your own, but something just doesn't add up." I even showed Sarah Tessa's note about wanting to date Dylan, and she wasn't buying it. By week's end, several potential clients had delayed projects with Tessa, not because I said anything harsh, but because honestly, who wants to work with someone who treats commitment so lightly? Tessa sensed the shift immediately. Her texts became more frantic. "Why are you talking about Dylan? You're ruining my reputation. This isn't fair." I replied coolly, "You got the time and space you asked for. How I spend mine is no longer your business." Then, in a dramatic turn, Dylan posted a photo of him and Tessa at the restaurant where Tessa and I had our first date. It was clear she was trying to recreate our past with him. The post didn't last long, but the damage was done. Friends saw it, and even those who had supported her side of the story began to lose respect. One of her own sisters even reached out, apologizing, "I'm so sorry for how you're handling this, you deserve better." The most satisfying part? I didn't need to get revenge. I simply chose to live my life honestly and freely, while Tessa tried to play both sides. Eventually, the truth always comes out. She visited my office yesterday, distraught, while Dylan had already shown his true colors, flirting with other women and acting untrustworthy, a pattern all too familiar. Through tears, she said, "I made a huge mistake. I was scared of commitment and thought I needed to see if something better was out there, but I was wrong. You're the best thing that ever happened to me." I just looked at her and said calmly, "No, Tessa. The best thing that ever happened to me was seeing your true colors before we ever got married." She tried to argue that we could fix things, promising to go to counseling and prove her trustworthiness, but I just shook my head. "You don't get it, do you? This isn't about Dylan anymore, it's about you thinking you could keep me on standby while you explored other options. That isn't love, it's convenience." She left my office distraught, but I felt better than ever. With the house closing next week, most of my things already packed, and a new life in San Francisco starting in a month, it's funny how some people think I'm being too harsh. They say everyone makes mistakes, but this wasn't a mistake, it was a choice. Every time she texted Dylan, every lie about her whereabouts, every second spent planning to put our relationship on hold, it was a choice. I'll update you again once the move is complete. For now, remember, sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even, it's getting better. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Thank you for following my journey. This is my final update, and I've got some exciting news. San Francisco is everything I imagined. My new apartment offers a breathtaking view of the bay, and the tech scene here is thriving. My new office team is fantastic, it's refreshing to be around people who value growth and innovation over drama. But first, a quick update from back home. The closing went smoothly, and the house even sold for more than the asking price. It was interesting to see Tessa's reaction when she found out through our mutual friends. She never believed I'd sold the house until she drove by and saw the new owners moving in. That's when things got really interesting. Remember Dylan? Out of all people, he messaged me at length, insisting he never meant to cause any trouble and that Tessa had reached out to him months before asking for a break. Tessa had been planning her little escape for quite some time. She'd been texting Dylan for months, carefully setting up her backup plan. The irony is that Dylan ended things with her because, as he put it, if she could do this to you, she could do it to anyone. Tessa's professional fallout has been huge, too. Remember all the clients she'd lined up? Most of them ended up going with other designers, not because I said anything, but because word spreads fast in our industry. One of her biggest clients even called me after hearing about the breakup, asking if I knew any reliable designers for long-term projects. I recommended a talented friend of mine, and she landed the contract. Karma, I suppose. Her meltdown on social media was something else. First came the sad quotes about losing your love, then angry rants about toxic people who can't handle success. Finally, she made frantic attempts to show everyone how thrilled she was. The last post was especially strange. She announced she was starting her own design firm, and just 3 days later, she began sending out job applications. Last week, her sister contacted me again. Apparently, Tessa has been staying with her parents, saying she needs time to heal from our separation. Her sister said, "She really thought you'd wait for her after you sold the house and moved." That completely shattered her fantasy. The most reassuring moment came during a video call with our old friend group. They were gossiping, and someone mentioned seeing Tessa at a coffee shop explaining to a potential client why her portfolio website was down. Apparently, she forgot that I was the one who set it up and maintained it. She couldn't figure out how to renew her hosting when it expired. Not my problem anymore. My new life here is finally coming together. I've joined a local rock climbing club, started taking Spanish lessons, and even adopted a dog from a shelter. His name is Zeus, and he's a much better companion than my ex-fiancée ever was. The local tech community has been incredibly welcoming too. Just last week, I was invited to speak at a developer conference, something that wouldn't have happened if I'd stayed stuck at home. It's amazing what you can achieve when you're not weighed down by dead weight. I had one last encounter with Tessa when she emailed me asking for some old images from our shared cloud storage. I had already downloaded what I needed and closed the account weeks ago. Her email read, "I know you're trying to erase me from your life, but you can't just delete our memories. Those 4 years meant something. My reply was simple: you're right, those years taught me exactly what I don't want in a partner. Thanks for the lesson. Some mutual acquaintances think I'm being too harsh and should be more understanding of her supposed moment of confusion. But it wasn't just a moment, it was a calculated move to keep me as a safety net while she chased what she thought was a better option. The biggest lesson I've learned from all of this is that sometimes the worst experiences lead to the best outcomes. Had Tessa not shown her true colors, I might have married her only to discover her real personality years later, maybe even with kids in the mix. Instead, I'm now in an amazing city with a great job, new friends, and a hopeful outlook on the future. The sting of betrayal has been replaced by gratitude for dodging a bullet. Thank you to everyone who's followed my story and offered support. Your encouragement kept me strong when I was tempted to fall apart. And if you're going through something similar, remember, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Don't wait around for them to change their mind, life's too short to be anyone's backup plan. Sometimes the best move is to walk away and build a better life for yourself. A few months have passed since I last thought about Tessa. Life has been moving forward at a pace I never expected, and honestly, I couldn't be happier. My new city feels like home now. Zeus and I have our daily routine. I've made some incredible friends through the rock climbing club, and my career has taken off in ways I never imagined. One night, I was out with a few friends when my phone buzzed with a number I didn't recognize. Normally, I'd ignore it, but something told me to check. It was a message: "Hey, I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, but I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Not for how things ended, but for how I handled everything before that. You didn't deserve that. I hope you're doing well. Tessa." For a moment, I just stared at the message. A few months ago, I might have been angry, hurt, maybe even tempted to respond. But now? It felt like reading a message from a stranger. I put my phone down, took a deep breath, and looked around. I was sitting with friends who genuinely cared about me, in a city that felt like a fresh start, with a future that no longer had anything to do with her. There was no bitterness left, no resentment, just clarity. I didn't reply. Not out of spite, but because I didn't need to. Some doors, once closed, don't need to be reopened. A week later, I got some unexpected news from a mutual acquaintance. Tessa had taken a job at a design firm in another state. Apparently, things hadn't worked out the way she expected, and she had no choice but to start over somewhere new. Hearing that didn't bring me joy or satisfaction, it just confirmed what I already knew. She had made her choices, and I had made mine. And my choice? To keep moving forward. Now, I wake up every day feeling lighter, knowing that I've built a life that's entirely mine, one that's not defined by the past but shaped by the future I'm creating. I'm in a job I love, surrounded by people who uplift me, and for the first time in a long time, I feel genuinely free. Life has a funny way of working out. Sometimes, the things we think will break us actually set us free. And in the end, walking away wasn't just the best decision I ever made, it was the beginning of something better than I ever imagined. The chapter is truly closed. And the future? It looks brighter than ever. Thank you all for being part of this journey. If you've made it this far, I appreciate you more than you know. And remember, sometimes, the best thing you can do is let go and trust that better things are coming. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one. That's it for now. This chapter of my life is officially over, and I couldn't be more excited for what comes next. Take care, and thanks for everything. And thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do and hit the notification bell for more real-life stories that might just shock you.